The second benefit that Athens gained from the alliance was security. This was gained in a plethora of ways. Firstly, from the beginning of the League, Athens had considerable control. According to historian Pamela Bradley, Athens was the permanent leader of the League and as hegemon had executive powers. Although every member was entitled to equivalent voting rights, it is most probable that Athens was able to control votes by either her patronage or through intimidation. The Council of the League, known as the Synod, decided upon League policy and strategy, and was heavily influenced by Athens, who would then themselves carry out the made decisions. Many historians fail to directly mention the original oath of allegiance which was taken by new members, although in the words of Aristotle it was Aristides who swore the oaths to the Ionians that they should have the same enemies and friends, to confirm which they sank lumps of iron into the sea. This oath quite obviously indicates that the League was meant to be permanent, meaning that any attempt to leave would be considered a rebellion. Thucydides states that when states such as Naxos revolted, they were forced back into the alliance. Security was furthermore gained by bringing in more states to the League. This was increased after Athens' newly formed imperial policy. Post this policy, Athens also took a more anti-Sparta stance and accepted states such as Megara, purely for the security benefits that it would provide against Sparta. Being the head of the League, Athens benefited greatly. At the birth of the League and for the first 10 years of its existence, primarily the League took the fight to Persia. Athens was backed by the ships and money of her allies, allowing her to continue operations along the lines of the League's official aims. However, as time went on, it became apparent that the naval allies in the League were no longer just being used to defend the League's interests, but also to defend Athens' own interests. According to Pamela Bradley, the use of allies to further Athenian interests was influenced by the avowed imperialist Pericles. Essentially, along with its own navy, Athens now had a private defense force. The two main instances in history in which Athens fully benefited from this additional manpower was the war between Athens and Aegina and also the Battle of Tanagra. It is believed by historians such as Chris Baker that the Delian League forces were present at these battles. What this means is that Athens was using League forces for actions completely irrelevant to the actual objectives of the League. This benefited Athens greatly, as it provided potential long-term security. The League's forces could also be used against any current threats, such as the Persians and revolting states, but then could also be used again to great effect in the future impending conflict against Sparta and the Peloponnesian League. The help of the allies led to the complete subjugation of Aegina, who was forced to pay the largest tribute of any subject in the League. League forces also played a vital role against Sparta at Tanagra by cutting off the Spartan troops. When Athens adopted her more anti-Spartan policies, she accepted Megara into the alliance. From this, Athens gained physical security. This was a huge benefit for Athens, as it made her almost untouchable in theory when it came to war with Sparta. While the acquiring of Megara into the League, Athens now completely controlled the isthmus, while also having Attica's land border heavily protected. Pamela Bradley states that Pericles never doubted that Athens' greatness depended on her maintaining and extending her control over her allies and subjects. The formation of the Delian League was officially as a response to the Persian War. Its goals were purely structured around warfare with the Persian Empire. There are some historians, however, such as Arun Gulati, who agrees that the formation of the Delian League as a military alliance to fight the Persians was a pretense for a way to counter Sparta and the Peloponnesian League. This idea was reinforced by the fact that Athens started drawing in states purely for the security benefits given against Sparta, such as Megara. Obviously, the fact that Athens had control of the League's forces was a huge benefit to Athens. However, it obtained against Sparta security in yet another way. As previously discussed, the oaths taken by League members were intended to be permanent. This meant that states throughout the Aegean, after joining the Delian League, were unable to cross to Sparta in the Peloponnesian League. The threat of Sparta was a concern among the Athenians, and the alliance benefited greatly, bringing them security against their rivals in a number of ways. With the excellent benefit of security for Athens came certain costs to her allies. Post Athens' political changes and her new imperial policy, there were increased demands on the members of the League. Not only did these demands include the continuation of increased amounts of tribute, but also that the allies provide aid. As stated by Aristotle, all members of the League swore an oath, so that they should have the same enemies and friends as Athens. Originally, this benefited the members of the League, as they were united in fighting against Persia. But soon, the imperialist Athens started using her allies to further her own interests. Allies were forced to participate in battles completely unrelated to the League's official aims, and also against fellow Greeks. However, the allies had no choice as they were unable to secede. Effectively, the allies were used by Athens to further her own interests. The third benefit that Athens gained from the alliance was power. Power is defined as strength that is capable of being exerted. Power is not a singular thing that is obtained, but more the final product of a collection of traits. This podcast has so far analyzed two of the biggest benefits that Athens gained from the alliance: wealth and security. The fact that Athens had the money to construct and maintain a powerful navy while also being able to bring the League's own forces to bear led to the acquisition of power. Not only did Athens simply gain power, but projected her power to great effect. It is apparent that the powers is what converted the Delian League into the Athenian Empire. As the individual facets of the benefits of the Athenians' wealth and power have already been discussed, there are only a few certain additional benefits that come with power. Power allowed Athens to spread their control further and deeper across Greece. Athens did this by placing cleararchies in strategic locations throughout the Aegean. This was the first time in history that Athens had planted settlements in the lands of her allies. This was hugely beneficial to Athens in a number of ways. Firstly, it relieved unemployment, as the Athenian settlers were chosen from the lowest of Athenian classes. Plutarch states that not only did it remove from the city a large number of idlers and agitators, but it also instilled among the allies a healthy fear of rebellion. The cleararchies served as the eyes and ears of Athens, and larger ones were often installed in areas that were rebellious and required closer supervision, such as Naxos. In these areas, Athens also attempted to set up democratic forms of government, therefore replacing oligarchies and tyrannies with democracy. With the benefit of power, Athens was able to turn the Delian League into the Athenian Empire. Power allowed Athens to tighten her control on the members of the League and solidify itself as a threat to Sparta, so much so that it caused the Peloponnesian War. As with the previous benefits to Athens, the members of the League continued to suffer. League members were already paying tribute and being used to further Athens' interests, but with the gain of Athenian power, members lost much of their freedom. The cleararchies caused much resentment among the allies, as the best land was given to the Athenian settlers, leading to the displacement of, according to Pamela Bradley, local populations of up to 4 times more numerous than that of the newcomers. With Athens tightening her grip on its allies, it became harder and harder to even attempt to revolt against an oppressing empire. This was due to the puppet governments, garrisons, and cleararchies. The Athenian rise to power even further restricted the freedoms of League members, so much so that they were merely subjects of Athens. Throughout the existence of the Delian League, it can be seen that the decided upon primary objectives were completed. The lands under Persian control were ravaged and vengeance was taken. However, it is apparent that Athens gained far more from the alliance than the other members. Due to its position as leader of the League, Athens benefited greatly. Huge amounts of wealth were acquired by plundering the Persian-controlled areas as well as through the tribute system initially constructed. Security for Athens was also gained. She could use her allies as her own private defense force to further her own interests wherever deemed necessary. Through the combination of these two benefits, Athens also gained power. Athens used this power to solidify her hold on the members of the alliance and convert the Delian League into the Athenian Empire. All of these benefits to Athens came at a cost to the other members of the League. They were forced to pay tribute and stay in the League even after the goals of the League were assumed to have been completed. Members of the alliance were then expected to fight for Athens, and were used to further Athens' own interests. With the rise of Athens to power, the members of the League also lost much of their independence. Cleararchies were established, and they lost all foreign political say. Ultimately, the members of the Delian League, due to the creation of the Athenian Empire, became just subject to Athens.